Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to another episode by Digital Titans. And it's been a long time that we have seen each other, and I promise you this episode is going to make up for it. The conversation we would be having today is about a new ad format that most of us ignore or tend to think that this is relatively new and it's not for me. Now, if you're a business owner, and let's assume in all practical purposes that you are a small and medium business or an SMB, now you might be thinking that if I really want to advertise or on the internet, and if I really want to consider digital marketing for my promotions, the options that I'm left with is either go to Google, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, in some cases Pinterest if you're dealing with products. And let's talk specifically. Now, there is something which is really specific about all these platforms. Now, if you move the platforms aside, and if you look at things from a holistic view and start dissecting them, there are only two ways of ads which are, you can broadly classify them into two categories. Take any platform and it falls under either of these categories. Either you advertise for people looking for your product, which is search intent or intent-based advertising. People know that they need your product and they're searching for it irrespective of the platform. This is one format, or this is one category. And the other half of this, where they genuinely discover you, or they very casually discover you or your product or your service while they're either reading about something that is related to you, really complements what they're actually looking at. Let me give you an example. The most common example that I can think of, now this is not an example competition, so I don't want to put too much of thought into it. Let me stick to the simplest of the examples so that you understand what I'm talking about. Let's assume that you need to buy a mobile phone. Now you start looking up on the internet and say that this is my budget and what's the best phone to buy. If you really have an idea that you really want to go for an iPhone 7 Plus, for example, you would just go to google.com and say, buy an iPhone 7 or the price of an iPhone 7 Plus. Now, this is when you really know what you want to buy. Now, let's assume that you really don't really understand or you're really not sure about what kind of phone you want to buy. What are you going to do? You still would go to Google and start researching upon things and say, let's say, best phones under $1,000, and then you start looking for articles or review sites or forums, and you stumble upon a website, let's assume, where it's talking about best phones to buy under $1,000, and then you're scrolling through the article and you're trying to grasp as much as you can because you really need the phone. Now, in the process, imagine there is an article which says, looking for, confused about which phone to buy. Now, this would solve your problem. Now, as a user who is desperately in need of buying a phone, I click on the link and I go to a website which is selling iPhone 7 Plus. Now, for a normal eye, for somebody who is looking at things with a normal eye, this seems like a sublink in that article which led me to a website which was selling this phone. But in general, to be specific, what just happened is somebody inserted a content discovery ad in the middle of the website that you're actually reading. Now, the website that you came was talking about the best phones to buy under $1,000. And when you're reading this article, there was another thumbnail which prompted you, which seemed really attractive and to appear to be solving your purpose. And it's talking about confused about buying a phone. This is the new thing. This is a phone you need to buy. And you click on it, go to the website which is selling it, and you buy it. Let's assume that you buy the phone. Now, if you really pay close attention to what happened, the link that you clicked on the website that you were reading about what phones to buy is actually an ad. And it's wrapped up in content, and it's inserted very strategically into, which is very relevant or which complements the article that you're reading. Now, this, ladies and gentlemen, is called as native advertising, and native advertising is all about content discovery. The platform that we would be talking about today is called as Taboola, which is Taboola. In today's world, everybody knows everybody is bombarding you with ads. Now, this puts more context, not just content, which means I know I want to buy a phone. I'm researching about what phone to buy. Now, there's an ad that slipped in which appears to be content, but it solves my purpose and it seems genuine, so I have no problem in going ahead and doing that. Now, you can do this form of native advertising with a lot of platforms. We would be specifically talking about Taboola today. You can not only advertise pieces of content, which is content discovery, you can also advertise your product with individual or independent units on the publisher's website. You can also start advertising. You can also start advertising sponsored video on somebody else's website, which really complements what they're actually doing it. Let me show you how you can create a campaign on Taboola. Hey guys, what's up? Let's start getting a hands-on understanding of how Taboola looks and what it does and what it is all about and what are the different things that we can explore using Taboola. So I am at, I have just logged on to taboola.com, which redirects you to go.taboola.com. And there are a few things that we need to keep in mind before we actually get into these things. Now, scroll down and just try to get an understanding of what these guys are all about, right? Now, let me go back to the place that I really wanted to show. Now, this is, as I said, this is going to be a content discovery platform, which means that content gets discovered while people are browsing websites of publishers. Now, you can either have an editorial content like you see here, or you could also have a sponsored piece of content that gets inserted. When people click on that, they go to your blog or website. You can also have a sponsored video like you see here. And apart from that, you can also have independent units or individual units, like how Google shows your banner ads. Now, these custom units come in different sizes, different things, and you can also always customize them. And why is content discovery more important? Because think about this. Anybody who is just going to youtube.com, and if they really want to travel, understand that they're expected to see a set of videos about travel. Now, on the right-hand side, if you see an ad for Scoot.com or Scoot Airlines, it's evident, or AirAsia.com, it's evident that these guys are trying to push something, or these guys are definitely going to try to sell something to these guys, right? Now, in that context, there is a mental block which gets formed, and you kind of get wary about, I don't want to be sold anything by anybody. So you just take you just take a step back and you're extra careful now. But apart from that, on the other hand, if you start looking at native platforms, and if I'm looking at things like top 10 things that I should include in my diet if I want to lose weight, and there is somebody who is trying to sell an avocado-based dessert, and I'm just reading this article that talks about 10 things to keep in mind while dieting and 10 diets to include. And while I keep scrolling down, I see another block of content which is talking about an avocado-based dessert, and it just flips me over, and I'm like super excited now because I really want to look at this, because dessert in itself tastes very tempting. Sounds very tempting. And apart from that, it's an avocado-based dessert, which means health is also taken into account. Now, while I keep doing that, I realize that the link that I clicked upon is not another page on the blog or the website, but it's an ad which redirects me to that website of that person who is trying to sell an avocado-based dessert. Now, in this whole context, is there anything at all that you feel sorry about or you regret? No, right? Because you wanted to diet, you wanted to know more about 10 things to keep in mind while you're dieting. And in the process, you realized an article, no pressure. You realized there was an article which was talking about a dessert, but it was avocado based, which is healthy. So nobody asked you to click here and get a 10% off. Nobody told you that if you click this, you will get a 500 cash back. None of that nonsense. You simply felt this article was very relevant to you, related to you, and you didn't even know it was an ad. Now, this is the power of native advertising or content discovery ads, because the real stuff gets sold. No matter how attractive your headline is, no matter how you try and strategically insert in all the famous websites or famous publishers' websites, all it matters is how contextual is your content. Now, if you keep that in mind, now, content is important, guys. Please don't get me wrong. Content is important, but it always has to have a context to it. And what platform can be better than using a content discovery platform like Taboola when it gets strategically inserted while people are researching, reading, browsing about things that matter to them, And if your product complements what their interest is, it gets inserted, and boom, there you go. You have a gold mine there, right? A couple of things about Taboola. There are 1 billion unique users monthly across mobile and desktop, 22,000 premium publishers worldwide, and they're a $1 billion company, and they're not your typical pay per click and we don't care what happens after that platform. They're really concerned about the content that gets thrown and the kind of responses people get. So this really should be an interesting experience, especially if you're an SMB, because considering the budgets we have as SMBs, and we really don't want to blindly trust agencies who can take us for a ride, and keeping all those things in mind, this can be a very, very, very suitable platform. And what are you waiting for? Just try it now. All right, so you can put in your location that you're based out of. Now, this is your campaign content. So even before you begin, you just need to put in your campaign content. Now, let's say, let me take you to the first step, which is this. I'm already logged in, but in case you're not logged in, this is what you would see. Now, if I put in something which is, let's say, let's remove everything. All right. So let's say I have included something on the lines of, let's say Amazon is my business, Amazon.com, right? And the campaign content gets automatically populated here. Now, this is how this would look like. And while people are researching about something related to anything that they would want to buy, an article like this would pop up, and I can, let's say I can customize this saying that what sellers online don't tell you. And if I say interesting read, now it doesn't seem like an ad, does it? Now when I say that this is going to be an interesting read, right, I'm not saying buy this, you will get a discount. I'm not saying there's no clickbaity stuff that's happening. But apart from that, apart from having pure content which is contextual. So when you do that, people who are reading this website, they would look at this, and maybe I can come up with an interesting image here, but this is just an example, and that's it. Now you have a better chance of getting clicked, and it says sponsored links by Taboola, and then there are certain settings that you need to set in terms of your campaign settings on the lines of how much do you want to spend, and how much are you okay to spend per click, and where do you want your ads to show, what is your location targeting, what is your daily budget, what is the cost per click, and this is always customizable, and it also shows you what is the estimated reach, like any other platform does. But in my opinion and in my experience, I've seen that they have a much broader reach than any of the PPC or any of the social media platforms. Now, once that's done, what else? Get your card out of your wallet and start putting in the credit card details, and that's about it. So you have you would just go ahead and say next, a gold mine in the process. Thank you so much for your patience, guys. And if you like this content, or if you have any other questions that you would want me to talk about, please put in the comments. And thank you so much for your patience. And please do not forget to subscribe to this channel if you have not already done so. Thank you so much. This is Casey from Digital Titans signing off. Until next time. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Digital Titans. And if you have not already subscribed to this channel, please do not hesitate, because you know your love and support is very, very important to us. Thank you so much. Until next time, this is Casey signing off. Cheers.